In fact, I love the accounts that you, in your book, that you talk about, local communities, because this is something, we at NDTV, we've also emphasized throughout. We've done a lot of environment coverage, and we always emphasize on the communities living around the national parks. You have to take them along. It can't be a forest versus the community sort of a project or development project, and it has to involve them. And even when there's man-animal conflict, you have to listen to the side of the community as well, and take them along. Otherwise, you turn them away from conservation. But talking about hope, I'd like you to share with us. In the book, you talk about the first months when you went to Bombay to study the chimpanzees, and how you lost hope in those first few weeks or months, because every time you went out, you used to wake up at the crack of dawn, go looking for them, and they just run away from you, and time was running out, money was running out, and you did lose hope somewhat during that time. So if you could just share that with us.
Well, I didn't lose hope in that I knew given time I could get of the chimps. The problem was their time. So it was not so much losing hope as a feeling of desperation. I must succeed, or else the whole project will end and I will have let my sponsor down. And of course, fortunately, towards the end of the 4th month, I saw the first chimpanzee to lose his fear of me, using and making tools. He was using grass stems to fish for termites, and he was picking leafy twigs and using them as tools. So he was using and making tools. And at that time, science believed that humans and only humans used and made tools. So that was it. And Leakey could then go to the National Geographic, and they said yes, they would fund the research. When the 6 months money ran out, they sent a filmmaker, Hugo van Lauwijk, to film the behavior as I got to know more and more of the chimps, and everything changed.
And what's so incredible is how you went there. You had not been to college, you had not studied, you hadn't done any masters or anything, but it was just sheer passion and love for animals. And then, you grew up on these stories of Dr. Dolittle and you Tarzan, and you really saw yourself there. And something has to be said for that as well, to be determined about something and just making it happen and not losing hope, isn't it?
Yes, well, you see, I was lucky. I was actually speaking to you from the house where I grew up, and the books behind me are some of the books I read as a child. And I was really lucky to have a fantastic mother, and she supported this love of animals. And when I decided age 10 that I would grow up, go to Africa, live with wild animals and write books about them, everybody laughed at me. How will you do that? Dream about something you can achieve. Girls don't do that sort of thing. But Mum always said, if you really want to do something like this, you're going to have to work really hard, take advantage of every opportunity. If you don't give up, maybe you'll find a way. And so that was the encouragement I had from my mother. And I think it emphasizes the importance of parents supporting their children. We know from 60 years of observing the Gombe chimps, we're now in the beginning of the 5th generation. And we can look back over the data, and the chimps who had supportive mothers do better. The males reach a higher position in the hierarchy, probably sire more infants, and the females are better mothers. So it's the same for them and us. I mean, they resemble us in so many, many, many ways.
And your mother was extremely supportive. In fact, when you went to Gombe to study the chimpanzees, they wouldn't let you go because they said you can't send a single young woman into Africa like that. And then finally it was your mom who came along with you, isn't it?
Yes, she volunteered. I think Leakey twisted her arm. He wanted somebody with me who wouldn't compete, who would just be supportive. And he couldn't have picked anyone better, So right from the beginning, when I was really depressed in the early days, she'd kind of boost my morale and say, well, Jane, you found that peak and you've got your binoculars. You're learning more than you think. Learning how they make nests at night in the trees, bending the branches over, learning the kind of food they eat, learning the calls that they make, seeing the different kinds of groups they travel in, or they sometimes all meet up for a great feast and joy when a new food becomes available. So I actually was learning quite a lot. but it wasn't what I wanted to be learning. I wanted to get to know them as individuals and be able to be accepted by them